Hello world, welcome back to the Razor RC, and we're coming to the end of 2022, and that means we're going to be doing a quick recap on all the cars we got and then picking the 5 best RC cars that I got on the channel. Has nothing to do with the most durable or the cheapest or whatever. It's just the 5 cars that I really enjoyed the most. So we're going to be talking about that in order from 5 to first. But before we do that, we do have one additional honorable mention vehicle. You can probably guess what that is here. Really, the only reason this is not in the top 5 is that I don't have enough experience with this. So I've only been breaking in the engine, so I haven't really got a chance to run this. But it is possible this would be the best RC car that I picked up. But I don't know yet, so we can't put that in the top 5, but it is very possible. Yeah, we got a ton of RC cars this year, so I'll recap them real quick. We got the Traxxas Max V2, obviously the bigger, longer, wider Traxxas Max, just as durable as the V1 pretty much. We also got the Savage X Flex V2 from HPI Racing. That was my first Savage. The beast of a 1/8 scale monster truck. Probably the most fun RC car I've gotten this year. I do have a video on that, but yeah, that was an awesome vehicle. Also got the Tamiya Top Force Evo, which is a classic from like 1990. This is the re-release. It's fun to put together, paint it, all that stuff. Did take it to the track as well, and that was a lot of fun. Obviously, it is an old vehicle. I know some people race that and stuff still, but to be honest with you, most people are not really using that as a race vehicle, but more as a collector's item. Also got the Team Crowley Skeeter 4S. So that was an awesome 4S monster truck. A little bit more of a stadium truck in my opinion, and you know, it's pretty cool to see Team Crowley come with a new offering in the 4S lineup that was really pretty much as durable, as beefy, and as strong as the 6S 8th scale. So that was a pretty cool offering. Also got my first Yokomo, the YZ2 Cal 3.1. Obviously a 2-wheel drive, 1/10 scale electric race buggy, super high quality, just as competitive as all the other 2-wheel drive buggies in my opinion. Excellent choice. Also got the Team Crowley Kronos XTR. So this was their super duper beefed up extreme bash version of their Kronos, which is the competitor like the Arma Creighton or the Traxxas Sledge or something like that. So yeah, this is their high-end version, comes as a roller, and really great vehicle, probably the best in the Team Crowley lineup in my opinion. Also got the Team Associated Rival MT8. So this is, for those of you that don't know, pretty much like a Red Cat Kaiju V2 aluminum chassis. It's got the whole Team Associated tuning. Really nice vehicle. Actually handles quite well. It does have some weaknesses, but the price was right. Also, Traxxas came out with the Sledge. So finally, Traxxas came out with a new 8th scale truggy to take on Arma, to take on Team Crowley, and they released the Sledge. In my opinion, didn't quite hit the mark. Really needs a much better aluminum chassis. Probably needs some updated and upgraded differentials. Really the motor mount thing I think doesn't work very well, but yeah, it's cool to see Traxxas actually release an aluminum chassis off-road vehicle. And then we also got the HPI Trophy 3.5 Nitro buggy. So this was my very first Nitro car. Super cool vehicle to start out with. You know, it was not actually that hard to learn about Nitro, so I've been really enjoying Nitro this year. That's one of the new things I got into, so that was a decent starter. A little bit expensive and not the most durable and kind of old, but you know, for a Nitro vehicle, what do you expect? Team Associated also released the Beast 6.4 2-wheel drive electric race buggy, probably the most popular race car in the world. I picked one of those up. Obviously, great improvement over the B6.3, a little more forward-mounted electronics, a little bit more geared towards carpet and AstroTurf in my opinion. So nice little update to the B6.X line. Also got the HPI Savage X 4.6, so a beast of a Nitro monster truck, probably the best known and most well regarded monster truck in out there in the Nitro space. So it's really cool to try that. It didn't quite hit the mark for me in my opinion. It does have some weaknesses, some flaws. Build quality wasn't really the greatest, but it was cool to actually get you know, a classic in the Nitro space, the monster truck Savage X updated one. Also got the Traxxas Revo 3.3. This is the original Revo, right, with 3.3 engine. Really great little monster truck. I did want to see how the Savage X compared to the Revo, so I picked up both of those this year. Super fun vehicle. Traxxas definitely makes Nitro easy, and I'm glad to see a company still sticking with Nitro and still supporting it. Also got the Kyosho Inferno Neo 3.0. Again, another Nitro buggy. My very first Kyosho, was really impressed with this vehicle. High quality, really cheap, $350 was an amazing price, and actually a pretty good vehicle overall. It's obviously the RTR version of a really old race buggy from Kyosho, the 7.5, but yeah, they do have a ready run version. It was really fun to try that thing out. And then we got the Arrma Crane 4S. So Arrma released a new update to the 4S line, both the Crane and the Outcast. I picked up both of those. I'm very familiar with the V1s as well, and in my opinion, actually great vehicles except for the chassis. They do definitely need an MTC chassis stiffener just to be durable enough, in my opinion, for the real big jumps. I also got the Tamiya Avante Black Special Edition. So Avante, for those familiar with Tamiya, is one of their classic vehicles from back in the day. Highly regarded as overweight, overly expensive, and not a very good performer, but it was cool to check that thing out and see how it performed. Also got the new Sentin Boost from Arrma. So this is a two-wheel drive new line of vehicles. They also make the Vortex and the Granite in a boost version. It's pretty much a 4x4 Mega without the front drive shafts and front center differential and diffs and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit more of an entry-level vehicle, but it was an interesting vehicle to try out, and I never had a Sentin before. And then we got the Losi 8 Nitro RTR. Again, I kind of got into this Nitro buggy thing. Check that thing out. A little bit expensive, a little bit dated, I think a little bit low spec in terms of the electronics and the engine, but a pretty decent platform overall. Certainly race buggy based, and they cheapened it a bit, but all the geometry, all the handling, everything is actually full on Losi specs, so that's pretty cool. Also got the B74.2 from Team Associated, their brand new 10 scale electric 4-wheel drive race buggy. Finally brought it up to where I think it needs to be to compete with the X-Rays and the TLRs of the world. The old one's kind of heavy, a little bit underwhelming in the steering and corner speed category, in my opinion. Certainly heavy for spec racing as well. So yeah, the B74.2 definitely a big improvement. We also got the Hyper MTX from Hobao. So this is a brand new 8-scale electric monster of a vehicle based off the old MT Plus 2. This is my first Hobao in like a long time, probably like, I don't know, 8 years or something like that, but it was cool to see a newer vehicle in the Hobao line. A very impressive vehicle, very, very durable. That's really the number one thing I would say about that. I also got the Traxxas XRT, which everyone has been ranting and raving about. Is it the best large-scale vehicle? It's pretty good. It's definitely very durable. Different type of vehicle than the X-Max, so it was kind of came out of nowhere in my opinion when they released that thing. But $1,000, quite expensive. Doesn't really rotate as well in the air. Does have some minor flaws, but I wouldn't say anything major. It's actually pretty good overall. And then we got the Traxxas TRX4M, tiny little crawler. Crawlers are really not my thing, but for $150, it's a pretty decent little vehicle. Certainly going to be popular this year. I know those things are flying off the shelves, so I want to get one of those. Check it out. And then we got the Hyper VS2 from Hobao. This is their latest Nitro RTR vehicle with a 3.0 engine, so a bit of a cheater engine. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with the MTX. Wanted to try out the Hobao Hyper VS2. They had a sale on that thing, so I picked that thing up for pretty cheap and tried that out. And finally, we got the Serpent SRX8 RTR. Like I mentioned, this is going to be the honorable mention within this class. I have not really had a chance to run it, so it's not going to win. But yeah, let's get into the 5 winners from all those vehicles we got this year. I have full reviews on all those, so I'll put links in the description below where you can check those out. Also links if you want to pick up any of those. That does help out the channel. But it's time to get into the final 5, the ones that I felt were like the best vehicles that we reviewed. And coming at number 5 is honestly a vehicle that could have easily won and probably would normally have won as the best RC car of the year. This is the Arrma Outcast 4S BLX, and excellent vehicle. Honestly, hits every box. It's fast, it handles phenomenally. The tune Ella box is perfect. Arrma really knows how to set up their vehicles. Just the setup is perfect, jumping, landing. I mean, you can always thicken up the rear shock oil a little bit, add some preload spacers, but this thing is one of the most fun vehicles you can drive. You can launch this thing 20 feet high, do triple backflips. Just really fun on the ground, in the air, super controllable. Even the price is pretty reasonable. It's not, super expensive. So yeah, overall, Arrma really nailed it with the Arrma Outcast 4S. I also have the Crane, which I think is not quite as fun, so I do prefer the Outcast, but obviously the Arrma Crane is very similar. Now, it does have one major flaw though, and that is the chassis. And I pretty much broke like 4 or 5 of these chassis. In my opinion, you need the M2C chassis like we have here. It's basically a bolt-on part. I think it's like $60, but you just add that because the stock chassis, as you can see, it cracks, it breaks. I've broken a lot of these chassis. With that bar, it does basically fix it, but because the chassis breaks so easily, yeah, this is not going to be the winner. If they had a solid chassis, or even if they included like an aluminum bar like that held it together, I would say this is probably the best RC car. But yeah, that is one weakness of this vehicle. So Arrma Outcast 4x4 4S BLX, almost perfect. They almost nailed it. Because it has that one fatal flaw, it's not going to win. Coming in at number 4 is a phenomenal vehicle, the Kyosho Inferno Neo 3.0. This is a 1/8 scale, nitro powered, ready to run buggy. And obviously it's not a new vehicle. This is actually the 3rd generation, the 3.0 of this line. It's actually based off a really old Inferno 7.5 that came out like 15 years ago. So this is a ready to run, but the amazing thing about this is the performance is high. The engine on this thing is pretty phenomenal for a ready to run. It handles well, it's really fast, and the greatest thing is it's cheap. It's $350. You can't get anything decent nowadays for $350, unfortunately. So this is a steal in my opinion. It does have one weakness. You do need to get like the steel spur gear. I would recommend swapping that out pretty much immediately. That broke on the first run, but other than that, this thing's pretty solid. I mean, it's got pretty beefy shock tires. They did make some minor durability improvements on the 3.0, and so yeah, I think this is a great nitro vehicle. Obviously, if you're not into nitro, maybe this won't appeal to you, but I would say if you're nitro curious, this is actually a pretty good one to start with because the engine's pretty good, it tunes pretty easily, it holds the tune really nicely, a lot better than some of the other vehicles, puts out really good power for a ready to run nitro engine, and it steers well, drives well. I mean, easy to get parts, all that kind of stuff, a lot of hop ups if you want to do that kind of thing. So yeah, excellent vehicle overall, and it's cheap, $350, amazing deal. I mean, you can even use coupons on this thing, so you can actually get for less than that. So yeah, all the way around, Kyosho Inferno Neo 3.0, one of my favorite vehicles. It's not going to rank higher because it is an old vehicle, so yeah, you're not going to get as much up-to-date stuff as you will with some other vehicles, but the price, the performance, everything is excellent. I do love this little nitro buggy, and one of my favorites for 2022. Coming in at number 3 is a vehicle that I think has not gotten as much publicity as it probably deserves, and that is the Habao Hyper MTX, a 1/8 scale 6S capable monster truck. This thing is a beast, taking off the body. I mean, it is full-on monster truck, true monster truck design with a sort of twin vertical plate-ish chassis, 70-75 parts. Quality on this thing is phenomenal. It's made in Taiwan. It's got better plastic, better metals, better anodizing, better like everything than your typical basher. It does come in a ready to run or an almost ready to run, which you will have to add your own electronics. But this thing is a beast. Pretty similar to the MT Plus 2, which was like their 1/7 scale monster truck, but they kind of shrunk it down but kept all the beefiness of a 1/7 scale. Even has a larger 17mm bore shocks. Pretty phenomenal. This thing's almost indestructible. I've taken some nasty crashes with this thing and nothing has broken except for the shocks, which I think do need some tuning, some updates, swapping out some parts to make them a little bit more durable. Once you fix that, this is a pretty phenomenal truck. Drives quite well, even for like a higher center of gravity chassis, it still handles really well, super stiff, does rotate in the air, but this is really one of the few like true monster trucks you can actually get still in the 1/8 scale 6S line. So I do love the Habao Hyper MTX. I think they deserve more credit than they get because this is a really good vehicle. Price-wise, yeah, a little pricey, but I think you get what you pay for because this is a higher quality vehicle than most of the other bashers out there. In second place is the Team Corelli Kronos XTR 1A scale 6S Extreme Bash roller. So you do have to add your own electronics. I threw in a Team Corelli system, which is pretty much the most powerful system you can add. But this is a phenomenal vehicle. Handles well, high durability, crazy power if you put in the Team Corelli stuff. It just pretty much checks all the boxes. Pretty reasonably priced as well. I think Arma is even like starting to discontinue some of their EXP versions, so XTRs may be the last rollers that you can get, but all 7075 parts, including the chassis, the shock towers. They did beef this up quite a bit in the 22 edition, including the tower brace, the upgraded shocks, the carbon fiber stiffeners, the 7075 Ackerman bar. So yeah, this is actually a pretty durable vehicle. I know a lot of people tested out the older ones, the 21s or earlier versions, they tended to break. I think finally with the 22s, which are pretty much like the V3s, Team Corelli stepped it up a huge notch. The Skeeter, the Kronos XTR are pretty much the cream of the crop for the Team Corelli line, in my opinion, and definitely the ones to pick up if you're more interested in the 4S or 6S. But I do like the Kronos XTR a little bit better than the Skeeter, just more capable, bigger, better tires as well. It's a true truggy, handles like phenomenally, and does the crazy double, triple backflips, whatever you want to do, just like the other brands. So yeah, finally I think Team Corelli has something to compete with Traxxas, with Arma, and actually step it up, I think, a little bit even more than like the Sledge. I think the Crane even is a little bit down nowadays, so phenomenal vehicle. Really the only downside I would say is that harder to get parts here in the US. You know, really the downside to this vehicle. So other than that, I do love the Kronos XTR, and that's why it finishes second. And that brings us to my favorite RC car of 2022, and it is the Team Associated Rival MT8. I know this is going to be super controversial because everyone on YouTube doesn't like this car, but I love it. This is actually my favorite car that I picked up. I think it's phenomenal. Really, it's really more of a driver's car, and I think that's what people don't quite understand. It's not a full-on send it, you know, triple backflip, 30-foot high jumper like some of the other 8S vehicles or 6S, 8 scales out there, but it's awesome. Taking a look at it, yeah, aluminum chassis. This is pretty much like a Kaiju V2. They pretty much fixed everything on it, threw on a 4mm aluminum chassis, super durable, has a tower brace, really powerful motor, and you see the servo is actually pretty good as well. The body is quite durable, quite thick. It's just really well tuned, drives phenomenally. It really drives like a race truck, but it's a basher, right? And that's kind of what I love the most about this thing. Now it does have some weaknesses. Yeah, the shocks do need some retuning. You can still, you know, break an E-clip or whatever here and there. It does need Techno upper links here, Kaiju arms probably. Radio is definitely the first thing I would change out. But once you get it set up, drives amazing. Even the tires are excellent. Best handling 6S 8 scale in my opinion out of all the vehicles out there. This is the one you would want to take racing, and it does come from Team Associated. You can tell they had some input on how this thing actually drives. It was actually designed by somebody that, you know, knows how to drive, and if you do have the skill, this thing does reward you, and that's really the greatest thing about it. I know a lot of people just only care about durability or price or whatever, but this has driving performance. Actually, the way it handles, the way it steers, the traction, everything, the way it maneuvers is phenomenal. It actually drives like a race truck, and that's what I love about this thing, and why it's my pick for best RC car of 2022, Team Associated Rival MT8. I think it comes in another color now, so if you don't like the, you know, blue and white, you can get like a teal or something like that. But yeah, I do love this truck. I know no one else likes this truck, but I think it's the best RC car out there, and I paid for it myself. It wasn't sent to me or anything. Just my true, honest opinion. So anyways, that's it for the best RC car of 2022. Let me know what you think. Did I get these right? Did I get these wrong? Is there something else you would have thrown on the list? But I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Look for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.